It's good. It would be good to see you, but it's also good to not see you. It's just good to you.
Well, welcome everybody that is coming in. This is a studio session with the Mountain Goats. This year they have released Getting Into Knots, which I have here. And today is Bandcamp Fridays. You should support Mountain Goats by buying a ton of their stuff on Bandcamp right now or as soon as we get out of this Zoom. So please welcome. Put your hands together at home while you're on mute for John and Matt here of the Mountain Goats.
All right.
You guys can take it away.
The song's never been played live. You ready?
I'm ready.
Here goes nothing. 1, a 2, a 1, 2, 3, and we sail, we sleep, we scry dry land. We dig a pit beneath the sand, a place to keep the sun at bay. At dawn, we rise and find our way with our faithful companion at our side. Put it all on the table and let it ride. Close to the drop off on our long slide. The land we left becomes a dream. The names we knew go up like steam. They leave some trails against the sky, all visible to the eye with our faithful companion by our side. Put it all on the table and let it ride. Close to the drop on our long slide. Call off the party, let mourners wail by the shore. Point to the spot where our ship disappeared. We're not coming home anymore. Should you succeed and reach the coast, your friends, you've seen a ghost. You tell there's nothing here worth dying for. You leave it there with your faithful companion by our side. Put it on the table and let it ride. Real close to the drop off on our long slide. Go! Hi, we're the Mountain Goats.
Yes.
All right.
You guys don't know, we haven't gotten to play for an audience who's watching us live. I got to do it 3 times this year in January in San Francisco. Normally by this time in the year, we've done it about 40 to 60 times, right? And it's a thing you learn in quarantine that that is something you are accustomed to, is to that exchange of energy. This is Bruce. Thanks for having us.
What are we doing next?
And thanks for being here, guys.
Just what are we doing next? We're just talking, just shooting the breeze,
jangling.
Do a little. We're taking calls. No, let's see. Shall we do? Let's do Wild Sage.
Oh, great.
This was on a record called Get Lonely, and it's called Wild Sage.
See my back.
You will see Matt's back. It's mighty. All right. 2, 3, and. I leave the house as soon as it gets light outside, like a prisoner breaking out of jail. I steal down to Business Highway 15501, like I had a bounty hunting on my tail, and somebody stops to pick me up. But he drops me off just down the block and along the highway where the empty spirits breathe. Wild sage growing in the weeds. Walk down the soft shoulder and I count my steps, headed vaguely eastward, sun in my eye, and I lose my foot, and I skin my hands, breaking my fall, and I laugh to myself. I look up at the skies, and then I think I hear angels in my ears, like marbles being thrown against a mirror. And along the highway where unlucky stray dogs bleed, wild sage growing in the weeds. On some days I don't miss the family. On some days I do. On some days I think I'd feel if I tried. Most days I know it's not true. I lay down right where I fell. I had cold grass in my face, and I can hear the traffic like the rhythm of the tides. And I stare at the scrape on the heel of my hand until it doesn't sting so much, until all the blood's dried. And when somebody asks me, John, are you okay? I don't know what to say. And along the highway, from cast off from innumerable seeds, wild sage growing in the woods.
All right.
If you only could understand how deeply grateful I am for the opportunity to be playing music with this man. For us to play is such an honor and a privilege, you know, and yeah, and so thanks. Thank you.
Thank you. Oh my God. That is wonderful. And thank you so much for getting together and
Yeah,
doing
man,
this for us.
I got my note yesterday with the COVID test to make sure they were all clean, you know, and
Nice.
And then here we are. It's really cool. It's really
Yeah.
cool.
I do want.
I know Peter and John send their best.
Yeah,
I almost knocked
thank you.
over a saxophone over here. You can't see it. It's out of the line. So, no, it's fine. Don't apologize for your.
So you're talking about how nice it is to play together before, and we were talking about that, and we got just over 50 people in the Zoom room here. It's like we're at Cactus Club in Milwaukee. We got a packed room.
Hello, 50 people from Milwaukee. How's it going for you?
I had some people ask questions before, send me questions to ask y'all. And Scott asked, since we're talking about touring here, he said,
oh yeah, no, we didn't talk about questions. Yeah, you got to call the manager about that. I don't know.
Did we screen these?
You got a real surly look at it. What is yeah, go.
Scott asked if there's any favorite places in Wisconsin to play, or any memorable Wisconsin shows.
Well, I mean, there's the Pabst, right? I mean, the
Yeah.
Pabst is like, so our manager Ryan Madison, he was part of the effort to reinvigorate the Pabst. That was sort of where he got his start in the music business.
Yeah.
But
Those
I
old
didn't
days.
know that. The first time we Pabst was with Khaki King, on the last Happy Night of Your Life tour, and that was a pretty special tour. That was before Matt was on board, but it was one of the first times that we as a band were like playing with other musicians, playing with us every night. Khaki would I would join her in her set, and then they would join us in ours. And it was a big musical growth moment for me. And I'm pretty sure Milwaukee was like the third show of that tour. I think we started in Chicago. I'm not sure what number 2 was, but that's a big one. But the other one for me is the Fuel Cafe. I don't know if you
Oh my God. Yeah.
Oh, I wish to God there was tape of the Fuel Cafe show, because I drove up from Colo, which is a town in Iowa. This was before we had enough to live in Ames. We lived in Colo, which is a town of, I always say, 773 people when we lived there and 771 now. Right? And I mean, it literally is. You're from the Midwest, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's literally a 770 something person town. It's one of those places, and we lived there. In a very small house that actually that the city bought from our landlord in order to knock it down, right?
Wow.
Because the landlord was a guy who rented pretty bad properties to people for cheap. You know, a lot of
Yeah.
people hated him. I was like, hey, I don't have any money. I'm grateful for the cheap property. You know? But our pipes froze every winter. It was that kind of deal. And one day somebody said, hey, you want to come play Milwaukee? I'm like, sure. I've never been there in my life. Okay, well, it's Fuel Cafe coming up and play a show. And I feel like we drove up and back same night, you know? And
Oh man. Yeah.
and yeah, I mean, I remember like there weren't people there, but I'm from California, Milwaukee. The whole Midwest to people from California is the moon, right? It's like, you know, it's like this place you've seen in movies.
Right.
And drove up there, and that was it's like, oh, cool, they got amazing coffee here in Milwaukee. Who knew, right? So yeah, played a set, turned around, and went home. But it's like it's a legendary spot. I didn't
Yeah.
know anything, right? It's like, and so, you know, and it's where I'm pretty sure it's where Corey Rusk is from, right? Who ran Touch and Go,
Yeah.
Necros, early punk band called, or early post punk. No, they're punk. The Necros, first band that was ever on Touch and Go. Corey was from Milwaukee. He actually came to the Fuel Cafe show,
Wow.
which was pretty awesome. I think he rode his motorcycle there, like in the middle of December.
Wow.
So yeah, so it's a fond memory.
Wow. What a great spot.
There's a bunch of other memories. There's like Marco Pogo in Madison. I don't even know who Marco Pogo is, but he's a guy who used to show up in Pogo to everybody's shows in Madison.
Oh yeah.
Painting or writing the words "mountain goats" on the sidewalk out in front of OK's in Madison in shaded. A bunch of memories.
Good times. Well, Mackenzie asked a question too about a show. She said that Stephen Colbert is a big fan of yours and
Yes.
hopped on stage to sing with you a while back when you were on his show. Could you tell us about that experience and whose idea was it for him to sing with you? Was that him or was that you? And what was that? What was the story?
I don't remember. We know for a fact that is like, it's funny with TV people. You don't want to talk too much out of school, but we had an opportunity to play Colbert a long time ago.
Mm.
But the writers were on strike at that time, and I won't cross the picket line, and so we didn't do it. And then later, and then later they invited us back, and we did it, and that was the old show, right? Uh, the
Comedy Central? Or,
was it Carnival? I can never.
can't remember.
But it was the, yeah, I think that's right. It was in 2009 or so, and we really vibed, you know. But these TV people, the level of busy that they are is pretty. It's like they work 5 days a week, and I think on the weekends they don't actually get any time off. They're prepping for the week ahead. I think it's really.
Yeah.
It's one of those things. It's like you think it's a sweet job, and I suspect it's about a 75-hour a week. You know.
Yeah.
This is the vibe I get when you're there. We meet up. We've met like once, and every time I'm like, "This is my bro, man. We should get some hang time." And that is the hang time, right?
Right.
We're fellow. We're both. I think he might actually still be a practicing Catholic. I'm Catholic, but we do meet on that ground. You know, there's like this level of like of some. No matter how hard you're joking, of some underlying moral seriousness to everything. You know?
Yeah.
So, you know, and of the sense of ritual. I don't remember who asked whether we invited him to join us, but I know for a fact that his people had told me during the strike that the reason they wanted us to play is they were using that song they were using this year to help them through a really tough period. And that's one of the things, I mean, speaking of religious, I don't generally believe in any, but that's the song God put me on this earth to write, right? That's
Yeah.
why I was here, right? Was to do that and to eat pretzels with mustard, right? Those are the two things that God sent me here to do. And so his staff was using that song to power through a hard time, and that had been at this point years ago, 12 years ago, you know. And
Yeah.
so when we got to I feel like it was we who invited him on. Nailed it. He did like the dance from the Strangers with the show he'd been on before Colbert, and it was cool.
Wow. That was such a
I'm
great
sorry. I
moment.
want to apologize to you and to the audience who I can't see. I have a indwelling inability to conclude a story, so my stories just tend to thread on, and you should jump in when you've had enough.
John, this is what we're here for. I am here for the story always.
And,
Um
and
uh,
I have got you covered, but
all right. Well, on getting into knives, we've been playing Get Famous, and I'm wondering, who are you talking about here?
I am not addressing a single person. I can tell you the story of how the song happened. So
Tell me.
I have gotten very into running over the past years.
Okay.
It's the first time I've ever actually been physically fit in my entire life. I used skinny, but I wasn't fit. I smoked 2 packs a day. Then I packed on a bunch of weight over a period of like 15 or 20 years, which is fine. It's like, you know, but at one point, I actually started like, well, I should make the effort to be life. So it took 3 years for me to catch the bug, but then I did, right? And now I'm really super addicted to running. And I was running, and I make these playlists too while I run. And there was a Japanese band called Basketball Band who does this very theatrical. The singer has a very operatic voice, she's Japanese, so I can't tell you what she's saying, but it's this sort of oh 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 oh, very sort of almost contralto tone, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they're so good. And I was on like a 20-minute run, which for me was long at that point. Now I do about 2.5 hours, but 20
Wow.
minutes at that point, around the 18th minute, I would be like really hitting the wall, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the basketball song kicks in. I'm like, God, this is so good. And I said out loud, man, you should be famous. And then I thought, it's a horrible thing to wish on somebody. You know, it's like, who do you know that's famous and healthy? You know, who do you know that's famous
Right.
and sure, admittedly, money, it's great in this world we live in to have money. No one can deny that. But I don't think anybody can say that they envy the life of the famous in terms of their interior life or their spiritual life. They look like big messes. They're always
Mm-hmm.
giant messes.
Mm-hmm.
Every last like when you find one who seems healthy, like God, who can I think of actor?
George Clooney.
Clooney, Keanu Reeves, maybe, you know, or
Uh-huh.
Bill Murray,
Bill
right?
Murray.
You see one who's healthy and you it sticks out. You go, oh, you somehow cheated the devil and got rich and famous, and you still have got your head screwed on, right? You know,
Yeah.
whereas it seems to mess with people really bad. You know, it's like it seems like the younger you get famous, the worse it is for you. So the song is a curse, right? The song is
Right.
thought. I just thought that's the worst thing you could wish on somebody. So then I just leaned into that and made it into a curse. It's like, oh yeah, I hope you get super famous. Hope, I hope everybody knows who. I hope you can't even go outside. You know, without
So
people saying, wow.
how's the Wesley Willis line fit in there?
Oh, so Wesley, it's actually that is a formal intrusion lyric. I'm glad you asked. So Wesley's songs, Wesley has I think 3 templates. Working
Mm-hmm.
is from a template, right? One is uh well, I mean, I think they're almost all in the second person like that, where he says some of them are addressing enemies in real life, whether he's in the hospital or he meets them on a bus, right? So you caused me to go on a hell bus ride. You interrupt me while I'm listening to my headphone. You know, the
Right.
ones he's addressing bands. He said, you played at the Empty Bottle on March 23rd, 1993. You whipped a camel's ass with a belt. The audience was rocking. Urge overkill, right? But he's always in person. Wesley does not sing. He does not say, "Oh, I went down Wild Sage," all first person, right? Well, I leave the house, right? That's Wild Sage. Wesley doesn't do that. Wesley's a you. I met you on a bus, right?
Right.
Wesley Willis posits an entire method of songwriting where you are talking only to and about the listener, right? So I like that. So that's what that is, yeah. And it was really fun when the backing vocalists had to sing that. They were women we met before that day, and they came in and they said, "Who's Wesley Willis?" I explained it. Oh, that sounds great, and then they just leaned into it. It was really cool.
Wow. That's incredible. I mean, the because audio is always, you're always talking to someone. You're always talking to one person.
No, there's always an implied second person whenever you speak. What's amazing about the second person is there's not necessarily an implied first person. The first person can be this sort of nonsense universal who is not a narrator, and then a lot of, I know if there's English people in the crowd, they're feeling me here. It's like, so you don't have to have a first, but you do have to have a second person, right?
Right.
You have to assume the reader, right? As an aside, I lived in Chicago in early 96, and I did meet Wesley and bought a CD from him, but I didn't get the headbutt, and I was terrified I was going to get it because people would tell me, if you don't know this, Wesley was like 6'8" or 6'6", and he would headbutt you to say hello. He would just boom, right? And people would say, "Oh, it hurts when Wesley headbutts you." And I was I weighed 120 pounds soaking wet in those days. I was like afraid, but I bought a copy of his CD, Dr. Wax, from him that night. It was really great.
Wow, that is incredible. Okay, I do want to ask one final question. One of my favorite songs you've written in the past couple of years, and I was wondering if you've been watching The Mandalorian, and
it cut out the name of the
sorry.
song.
I didn't say it yet, but I was wondering if you were watching The Mandalorian and if Baby Yoda is the ultimate Jedi who wastes all the other Jedis and eats their bones.
I tried to play that song live once. That's got 2 words, man. That was one of those one and done songs where I recorded it and released it as I could, and never thought about it. And I went to try and learn it. It was very hard, but so no, I don't. I have a 9-year-old and a 6-year-old, and the 9-year-old doesn't sleep very well at all. So most every night I threaten to watch some TV. I go, "Oh yeah, after the kids go to bed, I'm gonna watch something," right?
Mhm.
And then I don't. then as soon as kids go to bed, I actually crawl into bed myself, or I play a little Magic the Gathering. But yeah, so no, I haven't seen it. The Ultimate Jedi song was written when the title "The Last Jedi" was announced, and
Right.
I thought there was like an opportunity lost there, that they could have called it The Ultimate Jedi. And then I thought that would be funny, say, what makes something ultimate that's going to last? Well, it kills everybody, right? Like that.
Right.
But the other thing is like part of the humor of that song is the only Star Wars movie I've seen this one, right? And then later, some friends of mine found that out, the people I played D&D with, and then they took me to see Rogue One, right? But what's the second one? Empire Strikes Back, Last Jedi, the whole middle trilogy. I don't really know. I did not see it. So I thought it was a funny idea to sort of run with the idea.
It was a great song. One I love it, and I keep on listening to it as I'm watching Mandalorian.
Well, the thing is, so Ryan, who directed Last Jedi, is a friend, right?
Okay.
And he has directed Goat's videos, and he also has been on board since early, right? And I know one of the likes in the early Mountain Goats humor that was very prevalent in early stuff, like the jokes that are like, where you can totally that I had a funny idea and writing it before I was actually writing.
Yeah.
Energy. Ryan loves that, right? Ryan just really loves the songs that are just a funny joke that I ran with and hit record before the joke was done being made up, right? So it was a gift. It was something I did to make Ryan laugh. So.
Yeah, that's totally the charm of it. Is it's recorded before it's finished. You know?
Well, no, because Roman, my older son, who was like 3 or 4 at the time, he comes into the room and just.
He's on the recording.
Really funny. What does he start? I can't remember what he says, but you can totally hear him saying like, it's sort of like, this movie, The King of Comedy, the Scorsese movie.
Yeah.
So that movie, um, Rupert Pupkin goes to the bar to watch himself after point himself onto television, right?
Hmm.
And he comes in and he tells everybody, "Hey, watch, you're gonna see something special at Tonight Show here," and then he leaves. And one of the guys at the bar goes, "Did you see that just now? Same guy on the TV, same guy, TV." My son sounds exactly like that. He goes, "It's on the computer. The computer. It's right there. It's on the computer." And he's talking over the thing. It was pretty great.
Well, okay, we're gonna get to the last song. I swear. We
I
could
don't know.
talk
I
for.
haven't been interviewed face to face like in 12 months. You can do
I
this all you
know.
want.
Well, we went through. Matt told us that before we started recording here and let everybody in the room. Matt was telling us that one time he worked as a customer representative at a cable place as his worst day job because they were talking about how much they like touring. John, what was your worst day job?
Um, that's a really funny question for me because that was my best day job. I did a bunch of stuff that for people would make it their worst day job because I was a nurse, right? And when you do nursing, you have to clean people's bodies and stuff, and it's unpleasant work. You are a nurse; it's in your blood to do that, but it's hard to explain to people when people hear about it. You go, like cleaned up a bunch of poop today. They go, "Oh, it must have been terrible." Yeah, it's the actual worst job. I don't like this story. Um, you're too young to remember the golden era of phone soliciting, right?
Okay.
Well, when they came up with what was called a Watts line, where you could dial multiple people at once,
Mm-hmm.
sales were just blowing up in the meeting. There were so many sales jobs that were nobody's selling anything, nobody's making any money, but everybody was. There were lots of people probably programs from the people who were making the actual money going, here's how you do say it. You're going to get all this stuff and sell it. You'll buy it from me, right? You'll buy your bulk from me, and then you'll get a bunch of employees for you for nearly nothing on commission, right?
Right.
So I had been phone soliciting for the Los Angeles Times. That was a very rough job because we were trying to sell to people in the inland, like 60 miles inland from LA, who have no real reason to be reading the LA Times. And you would call them and go, "Hi, my name is John. I'm from the Los Angeles Times. How are you?" And they would go, "I'm in the desert. Why am I talking to you?" Because it would literally be like you calling Minnetonka and trying to sell them.
Right. Yeah.
So I did that, and then we quit that job. But I wasn't allowed to do anything. I was 19, and I got a job that advertised, "If you like in a rock and roll atmosphere, come work for us." I'm like, okay, whatever.
Okay.
Didn't even really tell you what the job was when you got there. And when you got there were a bunch of people talking about the day of observation. Dobbs, right? I gave it a shot. And what they were doing was selling framed pictures, like posters, right?
Uh-huh.
Of it wasn't Lisa Frank wasn't a thing, but like the one I always remember that tells you what it was, a picture of a piano, a high-res picture of a grand piano, board and the black ebony reflecting with a room on it, and it says like symphony, right? Just the tackiest thing,
Right.
at a restaurant like that bought from me, because my job is to literally walk businesses into restaurants with four paintings and go, "Hey, we're having a little art show for you today. Which one of these do you like?"
Oh my.
And try and sell them not to the manager, just to whoever is thinking, like. And I lasted one day at this job. I was like, nah.
Rock and roll atmosphere.
The rock and roll atmosphere was the part where they chant at the beginning of the day. And it was one of those things where I didn't have a friend with me because we did a job, me and my friend Allison, a week later, where we stayed for like 2 weeks. But that one, it was like I did one day. I was like, I cannot walk to El Merendero, a Mexican restaurant, and go, "Hey fellas, do you like the picture of the piano? You want to buy it from me for $30?" It's like,
Right.
Worst
job.
My first job was good job.
I love that job too. Okay, Matt.
You're breathing so hard, like Max Headroom.
Sorry.
It's wild.
Am I tweaking?
I don't know what's going on. Hold on. I think Matt's quitting GarageBand and opening it back up.
I just quit it.
Okay, he has quit
Can you hear me?
You're still breaking up.
I don't know what
If
to
you
do.
can hear us, fine. It doesn't matter that much, but we won't be able to give
Yeah.
you much from our.
We get another song. Where you go?
Yes, but I wish you could hear. This is what you just said. Can we get another song? It was pretty cool.
Kevin says they can hear us fine.
Okay, Kevin. Yeah,
All right.
we're getting texts from home base that say everybody can hear us fine. They don't want us to talk about it anymore.
Yeah.
But I'm going to talk about what I want to talk about.
we say on radio.
All right.
What are we doing now?
Interview.
Oh, well, we're still.
I'm kidding. Well, let's see. What do we have? You want to do tidal wave? Is that what we're doing?
Do we have time for one more? Do we
One
have,
or two? What's the deal? Two? Okay.
You want?
We're getting into that.
Wait, yeah. Let's do tidal wave and then getting into knives.
Great.
Sound good?
Yeah.
And I will. Do I have my tidal wave here? There we are. Like I say, these new ones. You are the first. They have never been played live before. I don't know my way around the fretboard on this one. I wrote it on piano, so if you hear a clam or two, I apologize.
And it doesn't have a drum machine.
And oh, that's right. And the original has John Worster, one of the greatest drummers alive, on drums, whereas we have
An 808.
a Roland 808, which is also a legendary machine, but it's not John Worster. It's not the barnacles that do the damage. Figure this out too late. It's not the destination that makes the difference. It's the freight. Everything becomes a blur from 6 feet away. Get used to this. Every card ever turned over remains in play. Get used to this. Not every wave is a tidal wave. Not every wave is a tidal wave. It's not the mutiny written down in the diary. It's the manifest. Forgotten cargo in obsolete measurements. Anybody's guess. Even the proud, even twin masts out on the open seas. Mistaken for trees, mistaken for trees. Not every wave is a tidal wave. Not every wave is a tidal wave. Hey.
Wonderful job.
I cannot thank you enough for this opportunity to play live music. It's like, it's such a loss, you know, to not. Thank you. What can I say? That was really. There's no way anybody out there enjoyed it as much as I just did. Just thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh man! Oh, there's a chat coming in there. That was really. That was. I mean, we played Tidal Wave. We shot some video a couple months ago of Tidal Wave with a band, and that was cool. But like, this feels. There's people watching us live, and that's the thing. Performance is one of the few places in the world where magic still happens. Like real, like magic that's undefinable. Magic that, like, you know, most science is amazing and great, and I'm not one of those people who says, oh well, science has ruined all the mysteries. No, it's great. Ruin all the mysteries, right? Learn what's going on. That's good. You know, it's great if we have as broad a sum of knowledge as we can. Because we know what are the things that we can't find a full explanation of. Those will be the true mysteries, the ones that survived even our closest scrutiny. And one of those is live music. Like, the thing that happens, the connection that happens between performer and audience can't be quantified anywhere. Like, it's just a thing that goes on. And when you're taping, you do your best, but when there's actual people in the room, something is real. And it's really, thank you very much. Thank you. Sorry, I go on.
Where's that at?
I'm sorry, the robot voice happened again. What was the question?
Are we good now? I'm switching. Are we done or one more?
Oh, we got another one. I'll play all night. I never get to 5 more. Yeah, this is in a mellow tone. It's a big band number that Glenn Miller made famous.
You can do one more.
My boy, he's good for it. So yeah, we're gonna play the title track from Getting Into Knives. It's a song about how sometimes you feel like, hey, what if I just got really into knives? You know, it's in fact, it's a song about a guy who's sung by a narrator who has been so focused on his revenge for so long that the question is no longer if, but how, right? Like, imagine that you no longer are asking yourself what you're going to do, but how exactly you're going to carry it out. And your fantasy has entered that, so that when every time you enter the space of the fantasy, you're going, oh, what will I do? No question what you're going to do. The question is, what's it going to be like to have to clean it up afterwards, right? And so, so that's what this is about. Let me make sure I got my lyrics around because I have not played it live yet. That's it right there. Cool. All right, people. Matt, you ready?
I'm ready.
You ready to get into knives? Let's get into knives, man. Okay, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. I hit the cul-de-sac on the spiritual path. I retrace my steps back home, but the house house burned down before I got there. And I found myself alone. I tried to keep things in perspective as I hunted down the perpetrator. Loaded up my toolkit with every hateful instrument. Now here we are 30 years later. I'm getting into knives. I'm getting into knives. I've been up and down the buffet several different times. I've adjusted my focus. I'm getting into knives. I sought wisdom from the sages. Consulted with master tacticians. Met up with some guys who wouldn't tell me their last names. They specialized in non-conventional munitions. Stayed on the side like a bloodhound. Followed the clues where they led. Tasted hot ashes on my tongue all day. I took my rifle with me to bed. But I'm getting into knives. I am getting into knives. It's a gift to be simple. It's a gift to be free. I've adjusted my focus. I'm getting into knives. Held to my vision all these days. Well, stray signals kept flooding the switchboard. I came all this way for hunger. May I be worthy of my reward. I stood at the door and I listened. Rustled through my rucksack as quiet as I could. You can't give me back what you've taken, but you can give me something that's almost as good. I'm getting into knives. I am getting into knives. Behold, I stand at the door and I knock. And then I knock twice. I've adjusted my focus. I'm getting into knives. Yeah.
It was so good, guys. Oh my God. Thank you.
What a pleasure to be with you in Milwaukee. It's like this is as close as I'm going to get to traveling.
Yeah.
Thank you.
John and Matt, thank you so much. And thanks for being buds. You know, I have spent a lot of my life listening to your music. There's been weeks at a time where I have just listened to it. Last year I drove through Texas and I just listened to All Hail West Texas the entire drive. So thanks for being my buds for a long time.
The pleasure is ours. It is like we are music fans. We're music. When you say that, I have the music that I, listening to Phil Niblock on a ferry from Belgium to England in the middle of the night and drifting off because it's 4 a.m. and we're trying to make that. It's like, and then music forms that connection. It's like to be able to talk to somebody for whom the stuff that I do has made that connection. It's a sacred space. It's really, it's impossible to talk about without getting very hippie about it. but it's incredibly special. Thank you for letting me know because it's
Well, thank you. And everybody that has been watching in the Zoom. The album is getting into Knives. Today is Bandcamp Friday. So buy a ton of Mountain Goats merch on Bandcamp. Buy the album. If you're in Milwaukee, Rushmore had copies of this this afternoon when I checked, so go buy it there. Thank you, Mountain Goats. Thank you, everybody watching in Milwaukee.
Wear your masks, stay healthy, stay up top, stay in good shape, because there is an other side to all this nonsense. We have all survived plagues before, right? I read a lot of old literature. It's like, this is not the first time this has happened. There's another side. Everybody, all our people, because we will see you on the other side of this, and it's going to be awesome.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Thank you all.